All right, guys. So today we're talking to the founder of My Cup Condom, Nicole Camiso, and we're going to talk all about her business and who she is and how great she is. And here we go. Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hey, Bristol, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. I'm super excited to hear all about your company and all about your product. And I get to tell my followers how great you are. So I'm happy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. Well, let's get into it. Tell me about yourself, your story, your background.
My name is Nicole Camiso. I'm 22 years old and I'm from Long Island, New York. And I have a bachelor's degree in business from Siena College, and I graduated in May 2019. So it's about a year since I had graduated from college. So
Cool. And would you say living in Long Island has influenced the product that you've designed?
I would say definitely. I feel like anyone's background, I guess, kind of influences anything that they do. Long Island and New York in and of itself is pretty fast and always moving. So I guess that's just how I've always been. But being from Long Island and even just the way my family is, and my mom is very innovative, and my grandfather is super innovative and very creative and always comes up with these concoctions and things that he does. So, as far as location and then obviously my family background, we've always been very innovative and, trying to come up with ways to make things easier or products that can, fix things and come up with solutions to problems. And so, yeah, I would say that not even just for myself, but probably anyone's background influences what they do for sure.
Definitely, I totally agree. How would you say you got started with everything?
So, like I said, even in high school, I was, always had a list like in my journal, and like my friends call me, they say I'm neurotic, but I love to be organized. So I always have, a journal planner, whatever, always on me. And I would always have in the back page of any of my journals, whatever year, whatever planner it was, a list of potential products. And if I had an idea, I would write it down right away. And I've always had those thoughts, and I, always knew that I would want to do something. I always wanted to invent something, but I never really had the exact tools, which even in creating a product, no one really gives you the layout, but I never had the tools to really go forward with that. And then I went through the entrepreneurship sect at my college, Siena College. And I have to say, I feel like there are a lot of people now, especially young people, they come out of college and they say that they don't even use their education for really what they do. And I am so not that person. I have to say I use everything that I learned from my education every single day, which is great because you pay a lot of money for your education, your degree. So I could not thank Siena College enough. Honestly, they have the most amazing entrepreneurship section of the college. It's a concentration on my degree, and I have the most amazing mentors and former professors. And I really do apply every single thing that I learned through my business. And, you don't have all the answers, but that kind of gave me the tools and the motivation to go forward. And so like halfway through college, when I started really doing the entrepreneurship classes and stuff, I really started applying this idea that I had, and it was for, something to protect your drink. And I had always been paranoid, always, no matter, what happened throughout college. I never used an open container. I always drank beer, or I always like super covered my cup, super paranoid. I always thought something bad was going to happen because you hear so many horror stories. And, when you're a freshman in college, they, give you all of the videos and all the horror stories and all of this is the worst thing that could happen to you. And so, and I had known my cousin has been affected by being roofied. I know so many close friends, like pretty much if you ask anybody, they know somebody that's probably been affected by it. It's a very serious problem. And so I knew that I wanted to make something like this, but I just didn't know how to go forward with it exactly. And I didn't want to tell anybody either, because obviously you don't want somebody else to run with it. So, learning through the entrepreneurship classes and from my former professors, I really figured out how to go forward with it. But the main reason I had made the product and kind of the backstory behind it was, and I remember seeing the products already for, roofing and date rape, because there are certain straws that change colors, and there's nail polishes that change colors, or you can test your drink. And I remember thinking like, that's great and everything. But at the same time, if you're at a club or you're at a bar, that's pretty inconvenient. And, you're testing it. And what if the test is positive and you already had your drink? You're like, oh my goodness, am I contaminated? Who did it? You have no source of where it happened, or you're sticking your finger in your drink, or, and then you're still not covering it.
Happening in the beginning, right? It doesn't stop it on the front lines.
Exactly. So I remember thinking, any product is great, and any type of double check, triple check is a great thing. But I remember I was like, there's nothing to prevent and protect. Like, there's no way to prevent the source of it. And so what had happened was, there was a story in my hometown. I was home for summer break from college before going to my senior year. There was this woman, she was a middle-aged woman who was roofied in a bar that me and my friends go to all the time. That summer, we had all just turned 21, so it like really hit home. And, she like was raped and the whole nine, like anything bad that could happen after being roofied, which is most of the time that's what happens. It's not just being drugged, obviously. And so this had happened to her, and, she's obviously a complete mess now, and her whole life is destroyed. And thank God she's alive, but just barely, because you're, have all the after effects of all of it. And I remember thinking to myself, if this could happen to a middle-aged woman in my town at a bar that I go to, a middle-aged woman too, with her friends, like on a weekday, early afternoon, this can literally happen to not just me. This could happen to absolutely anyone. And there needs to be something to protect yourself from this happening, because it's clearly never going to end. Mm-hmm. And we actually pulled in a study of a couple thousand people through the website, and it turns out 1 in 4 people have been roofied without their knowledge or consent. And that is a pretty staggering number. 1 in 4 people. So it just shows it's so popular, and it doesn't just happen to women either. I know so many guys in starting this that also get roofied. So, it's obviously a big problem.
Yeah. That's insane. That, like, just thinking about it, or just thinking about how it could affect you or somebody that is insane, because you don't realize that it happens every day, all day, it happens all the time. And so it's a scary thought to think that, like, there's so many people getting affected by it. It's such a bigger problem than what everybody's thinking.
Right, exactly. And it's definitely one of those things where it's like, you see it, it's there, but you always, you're like, I don't think it would happen to me because I'm careful. I have a head on my shoulders. You could be as careful as humanly possible and put your eye on your drink. But when it comes down to it, if somebody is after it and is going to do it, they'll probably find a way to do it if you don't have any type of protection.
Yeah, for sure. Is that kind of what influenced the name? I remember I was telling my mom, I was like, I'm interviewing this cute girl who has this awesome company. And I told her the name. She's like, wait, hold on, who? So tell me a little bit about the name and where you got that.
So I remember I had told my mom about the story one day when I got home from work at my job at the time. And I had said to her, this is what happened with the girl at this, bar. And she was like, we were talking about coming up with something. And we were both like, it needs to be like protection. We were like, it needs to be like a condom for your cup. And that's really where the name came from. And like, we tossed a couple names back and forth, and, it it stuck so well and it was so catchy and everybody loves it and like they get it right away. So it was just like cup condom.
Sure. Like it's so memorable and it's so great. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. But that's kind of where it came from. And you know, really when we were picturing it in our minds and we were talking about how can we make this, how can we come up with this, all you could picture was a condom on a cup in a sense, you know, and obviously not a condom because that just wouldn't work. But, you know, it was like that. We were like, you know, that's what it needs to be. It needs to be a condom for your cup to protect yourself from anything bad that can happen, which is pretty much the definition of a condom. So, yeah.
Great. But I'm dying to see it. So can you show me a little bit about like how it works? And
yes, definitely. So this is one of them. And I always, even at home, and it's funny, like during these times, everyone's working from home. I love drinking out of mason jars and any glass jar with my ice water. And it's perfect for at home too, even when you're outside. And that's like the best part about this product. And so many customers have shown me so many different ways to use it that's not for being roofied. And, you know, it also prevents spillage, which is like the best thing ever.
I was going to say, I was telling my mom about it, and she's like, this would be great for even kids, you know, like, awesome.
I have little cousins that love them, and we're working on a, you know, kid-friendly version, so to speak, because, you know, kids walking around and it says condom on it. So some parents don't mind, though, actually. As long as it works, it works. But, you know, definitely now it is, you know, all age friendly. You know, obviously there's choking hazard warning on it, just like any other product. But, you know, my little cousins use it. They love it. They're like, I want my cup cover. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So for spilling, and at the clubs, when you're at the club, how many times has everyone literally spilled half their expensive mixed drink by the time they get to where they're going after they go to the bar? So this is it. It's super easy to put on, and there's a straw insert. So you do need a straw to drink out of it, obviously, so that it doesn't, you know, it gives you the most protection.
Any straw?
Yeah, pretty much you could use any straw. I always recommend using an eco-friendly straw, and that's, you know, I'm from New York, so basically all the places use paper straws and eco-friendly straws now. And the most important part to me about this product was to make sure, obviously, the quality was high, but also that it could be disposable, because I really do feel as though when you're at the bar, you don't want to worry about losing something. You don't, you know, this product is all about not having to worry. So I wanted it to be as convenient as humanly possible and as easy as possible, so that you can take your drink when it's on, whether it's a paper cup, plastic cup, you know, plastic cup, whatever, and you can take it and just throw it away when you're done with it and go about, you know, your night, so that you're not hanging on to something that's wet and gross, and, you know, you want to have fun. And so, you know, nobody wants to deal with that. And the other part of that was, for me, you know, it's disposable, you know, hundreds of thousands of millions of these are going to be thrown away. And I'm from Long Island. The environment is very important to me. It's very important to my Cup Condom as a company, as a brand. And so they're made out of 100% natural rubber latex, which makes them eco-friendly and biodegradable by nature of the product. So, you know, that's everyone's first concern, is like, no more plastic and no more this, but these are eco-friendly and they are biodegradable because of the material that they're made of. So that's, you know, another thing that's very important. But this is what it looks like when it comes to you.
I love the packaging.
Looks like a condom. And then, yeah, so I can show you too if you want. I have another cup here, and literally like all cups, all sizes, like it's pretty much most size cups fits all for the product, which is another great thing. So when you take it out of the package, it looks like this. Rolled up just like a condom. And then, you know, which is super easy for when you're at the bar or whatever. And then you just unroll it. You put it right on your cup, just like that. And then I have another one of my paper straws here, and you just put it right through.
That's so cool. I love that.
And that's how you use it. Super easy, you know, and when we say that they're not reusable, you know, we always say reuse at your own risk. because, you know, you could do whatever you want with anything that you buy. And I do have customers that do reuse them for like, you know, a couple of drinks, but we say reuse at your own risk, just because obviously when you use something, and I always use the analogy of a condom, but when you use something one time, you just have to be careful, because obviously the protective nature could go down with more use. And 1 out of its packaging use is the best possible protection for your drink. But, you know, there are definitely people that, you know, reuse them for more than one drink to save money, which is a great innovative way to use it as well. But you just have to be cognizant of the fact that, you know, it could,
you're not always
less protective. Right.
That's great. Why would you say this is such an important product to have today in today's world?
So I would say, you know, maybe it wouldn't necessarily be just in today's world. I think that something like this would have been amazing even 50 years ago, because I know so many people that say, you know, this has been a problem forever. And I think that there are a lot of problems like this in society that seem a lot more heightened now, just because we have social media and constant contact and constant talking about everything all the time, 24/7. So I think that this has been a problem. You know, it might seem worse now, and maybe it is worse now, but I think forever it's been such an issue. But I think it's important in general and today, just because it gives you that sense of security that at least I know I needed throughout college, and I know that I will need every time I go out, because, you know, even if you're not going out to get super drunk, whatever, you know, not everybody does that. And that's definitely a college thing. And obviously we always say, you know, drink responsibly and the whole nine, but, you know, you want to go out to have a good time. You don't want to have to worry about something that's absolutely not your fault whatsoever. I mean,
you just never know, right? Like,
you never know. And unfortunately in this world, there are always going to be bad people, and there are always going to be bad people that do bad things. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. That's how life is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so what this does is give you the power, me the power, anyone the power to protect themselves from any danger that comes with, you know, drinking out of an open beverage container. And whether that's at the beach, protecting it from sand, or, you know, not spilling your drink, you know, your kids' chocolate milk at Panera Bread, or, you know, whatever it is. And even nowadays too, I mean, with everything going on, everyone's so health conscious. You know, this is a great tool, because if you're at the club, you're at a bar, you're at a restaurant, you know, people are going to cough, people are human, people are going to sneeze, people are human. That's just how it is. And, you know, this air particles go freely, and this, you know, obviously is something that can help with that as well. So that's another great thing too.
Protection. I love it. That's so great. What would you say are some difficult things about owning your own company?
I would say that anyone that owns a business would obviously say, you know, there are definite struggles and there are definite difficulties. But, you know, and it sounds corny, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's so very true when you own and run a business. And I would say that even the most difficult, dark times, you know, when you don't know where to turn next and you don't really have somebody that knows the answer to this exact problem, and it's a lot of unknown. I think the biggest struggle would be the unknown. But on the flip side of that, the unknown is probably the most rewarding and exciting part of it, because, you know, I'm the type of person that I knew that I would never end up in a 9-to-5 job, and I know that I probably never will. I've always wanted to be my own boss and innovative and creative, and I just, you know, never wanted to be doing the same thing. And so, you know, which, no offense to people that do love that, there's tons of people like that, you know, and that's a great, you know, way to be as well. But I just knew that that wasn't for me. And so, you know, when you take that mentality and you build a brand and you build a business, and I still have so much to learn, and I'm sure that I always will, but that's probably the best part of it for me, is that I learn something, if not a couple of things, every single day. And so the difficulties have been the most rewarding, because when you overcome that and you could look back and know that mistake and know how to conquer it next time and be able to use all the difficulties and things that you've learned for the future, that's like the best part of all of it.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I think that's so great. And it's also great that you have such a love for what you're doing, because I feel like that really shows in your company, and you can tell just from your Instagram page and from your website that you really have put a lot of love and a lot of care into your product and the people you're selling it to, which is awesome. What things do you think that you've learned along the way?
I would definitely say I've learned how to pivot very consistently. I would say that, at the beginning of when we started talking, I said that I like to be organized. Like, I really like to have all my ducks in a row. And I also was pre-law in college too. So I like to have all of my T's crossed and my I's dotted. I like to really, be, I don't want to say perfect, but, know what's going to happen. And so it's just very funny that I landed in a place where I literally, even if you think you know everything that's going on, you do not. And, anything could just completely happen out of nowhere. And I have definitely learned to be a little less controlling in that aspect. And, you need to learn how to delegate and how to really release control, but at the same time still be able to focus on the bigger things. So that's definitely probably the one major thing I've learned is, overcoming those struggles of you really can't control every single thing in life ever. And so that's really helped me, to be honest.
Yeah. Would you say being detail oriented like you are has attributed to your success?
I would say definitely, especially when it comes to marketing. And, my degree wasn't in marketing, but obviously you go through all of that in business and college. And, when it comes to marketing, and I feel like nowadays too with social media, everything is so fast. Everything is so constant and immediate. And, you could be forgotten about in 2 seconds. So you really need to have those finite details where someone will really pay attention to something you're doing and get it to click. So that's definitely an important part of, especially in social media, because everything is just so fast and constant all the time.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to create any additional products, or where do you see your company going from here?
So absolutely. Like I said, I always have a list of potential products. I really do. And honestly, the more I get into it, the more it grows. And I'm sure that, starting with this and starting with My Cup Condom will just be obviously a better roadmap for wherever else I go with different products. But there's one in the works right now, which is great and I'm very excited about. And that will probably be somewhat worked out. I would say maybe in less than a year, but maybe a year from now is when we'll start seeing it. And then we also are coming out with, in the near future, a non-latex version. So there is people that, there are people that are allergic to latex, which is a concern for, some people. And so there are people that are allergic to it that would like to use the product as well. So that's another product that we'll definitely be adding for sure on the My Cup Condom brand.
Well, we're excited to see those, and I'm really excited to see where you go from here. And I'm so excited to be involved with your company and just to have the ability to talk to you. And I think it's been super great, and I've loved having you and loved getting to ask you all these fun questions.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime I could come back on or, whatever. And I definitely will send you some stuff and you can try it out for yourself and see what My Cup Condom's all about. And I really appreciate you having me on. It's definitely been fun.
Yeah, of course. Well, make sure you go and check her website out, mycupcondom.com, and also go check her out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at mycupcondom. And thank you so much again, Nicole. We've loved having you.
You got it. Thanks so much.
Yep.